internet! Hello, you lovelies! There has been so much talk of actual comic books lately. The books themselves, thanks to the way James Gunn announced the DC slate. So while we're on this roll of talking about comic books, currently right now, as we speak, Image Comics has a buy one, get one free graphic novel sale at Barnes & Noble. Tons of you asked me where to jump into comic books. Image is a great place to start. They're generally a little bit shorter runs than your Marvel or DC, and they are very, very consistently exceptional. These are a ton of my favorite graphic novels of all time, and as you can see, there is a lot of glorious Image here. So I want to recommend you lovelies some books. We're going to start with Saga. Now, I recommend Saga to anyone that thinks they don't like the medium of comic books. I recommend Saga to anyone that wants to get back into comic books. I recommend Saga. This is a book that is a space opera that is what I would love to see the scope of sci-fi be able to do, but the medium of comic books allows for near infinite budget. It introduces so many new characters per page, but somehow makes you so endeared to them in a really practical way. It is a love story of two star-crossed, very literally lovers from warring factions in a never-ending war across the cosmos, and everyone you meet represents an incredible piece of yourself, and it has so much heart, and it is so brutal, and it's told in a way, you're hearing the story from a daughter that you meet very quickly through voiceover, and that's in a different font, so you can almost hear her voice, and you meet her parents in charmingly, tragically hilarious ways, and I can't speak higher of this use of the medium, and I can't speak higher of a way to tell a story that does so much so quickly. Every single issue feels like a trade. Speaking of format, this is basically 18 issues. There are 54 issues collected here, and that is the first half of Saga total. They're only currently on issue 61, so if you get these, you're up to 54. These represent 3 trades at a time. 6 issues per trade, 18, so there you go. So you can either get these, buy one, get one free, or you can get them smaller. You can just get trade number 1 and trade number 2, and it'll cost you $10 for trade number 1. So highly recommend Saga. Again, great jumping on points. You will fall in love with Marco and Alana, just as I have. You will fall in love with all of these powerful creatures, these giant monstrosities of pure creation. Brian K. Vaughan, the writer, is a genius. Fiona Staples will change how you see the world and comic books. Saga. Get after it. All right, I'm gonna speed this up a little so it's not a 20-minute video. Maybe space operas isn't much your jam. Maybe you like your things more grounded, and comics are obviously larger than life, but you can have a story that feels almost real, and for that, I highly recommend Deadly Class. Now, Deadly Class is, imagine if Harry Potter was metal as fuck, and instead of training them magic, they trained them to be assassins. Now, also imagine it is set in the 80s through today, and it is written by someone who is a diehard Hunter S. Thompson fan, who basically sees the problem with Reaganomics trickling into today as a fucking problem, and as a commentary on what America is and what America can be by way of these metal as fuck assassin kids turned adults. This is beautifully rendered by Wes Craig. The reason I like this format personally is I read these all in individual issues, but I'm collecting them like this because they're oversized. This is bigger than a comic book, so I'm seeing Wes Craig's art and I'm feeling Rick Remender's words in bigger than comic format. So this is beautifully rendered. It's like a Blu-ray versus a DVD. You're getting more. It's a 4K, actually. Let me be fair. It's a 4K rendering, more resolution of glory, more impact, more heart. And these, again, are buy one, get one free. I'd highly recommend going this route. And this is 3/4 of the story. They literally just finished it. The reason these aren't open is I'm waiting to read them all at once, again, to say goodbye, effectively. Issue 56 just came out. It was the last issue ever. This goes through issue 42, 44, something like that. So you can just get these 3, and you'll be 3/4 the way done, and you'll only, buy one, get one free. It'll be a lot cheaper. Again, it's a metal as fuck Hogwarts, and it's such a great commentary, and if you love Hunter S. Thompson, you will love Deadly Class. Highly recommend you check it out. Maybe it's still too crazy and out there for you. Assassins at a school and a space opera. The most grounded, the most recent, and the most accessible, because it's just this book. It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth. This book just came out, and it fucking rocked me. This is an autobiographical journey through mental health and through feelings of complete and total loss by an artist rediscovering herself through art. It is as meta as it gets, but not in the usual cheesy way. It finds new ways of being meta. The art changes style and format. The art informs so much of what's going on. You almost feel like the art is informing her as you read it. You feel the art healing her while it's healing you. This is better than some therapy I've had. This is what the medium can achieve, and it doesn't get more personal than this, but it also doesn't go in a linear fashion. It is so everywhere because comics can be. If you want to show someone the strength of comic books for how to overcome, and you don't want to show them Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, like those overcoming stories, show them It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth. And this is I would say, must read. Like, I would want my kids, I don't have yet, but I want them to read this when they exist. And I want everyone to know they're not alone. And I want everyone to feel the power of art. And this is the power of art. This is an incredible graphic novel. It's sold out immediately. I think it sold out the first day. The second or third printing is what you'll be buying when you get it. Buy one, get one free. But say you got, like, you want to try out those 3 sagas or those 3 Delta class. Try something pure heart and soul. Have an experience. This book, holy fuck, this book. To continue the power of the medium of comic books, we've covered space opera, we've covered assassin kids turned to adults, we've covered what it's like to experience coming out of a dark depression by way of art, by way of being an artist, using that medium, which is the thing you're reading. Let's talk about sex. Sex criminals. Holy shit, this book is insane. This is written by Matt Fraction. It is illustrated by Chip Zdarsky. He'll come up again later. Chip Zdarsky is one of the most powerful fucking writers in the game. My God, that man has reinvented Daredevil, Batman, and all sorts of characters, Spider-Man in ways I love very much. Here, he's the artist. This is a book wherein people discover that when they orgasm, they have powers. And the discovery in the beginning is someone finding out that she is not alone in pausing time when she orgasms and finds someone else in her fuck zone. And basically, they fall in love and they decide to use that power of boning to rob banks. And then they discover an underbelly of lots of people that have sexual powers. And it's like a really, I mean, the X-Men are already dirty, but it's like a dirtier X-Men. It's like if the X gene was only activated with the sex gene. So, it's fun, it's insane, it's irreverent, but most of all, it's got a lot of fucking heart. Like, it's a beautiful love story. So I love when something can be crass and bold and in your face and a lot of dick jokes. And oh my God, the art has so many jokes because Chip's a writer. So there's tons of detailed jokes in the art. So the reason for this format is I like to have it slightly bigger so I can, gather the whole frame. But it's all heart. Like, there's a lot of powerful, loving messages in a story about boning powers. Fucking love this book. Sex Criminals. Check it out. All right, the next one I'm gonna talk about, I don't have a book of yet because I'm waiting for a hardcover that I'm hoping comes out at some point. It's called Department of Truth. Now, Department of Truth is a story of a world wherein if you believe in something enough, it becomes real. So there's a government agency basically tracking all the people that are making stuff become real by believing it so hard. And there's a rival agency from Russia that is kind of combating this world. So it's a Cold War thriller today, and it's basically a horror comic book. It's like the X-Files. The art is really painful and rough and an experience to get through, and the writing is so paranoid and so intensely delusional that you're like, you have moments after you read the comic like, fuck, is that real? I love when a book impacts me day to day, and this one absolutely has. I love that we live in an age of conspiracy, and I love that the internet kind of makes this shit true, because if enough people believe something, it becomes true to those people. This is a very literal take on that. And I'm so impressed every issue with what it gets away with and how much it makes me go like, fuck. And I'm so impressed the twists and turns never feel telegraphed, but if you reread it, you have a hell of an experience. The reason I don't own it is, again, I want that oversized copy, but I also don't want to reread it too much until I get to a place that I feel like it needs to be reread because it's so dense and so special, and I love the twists and turns. So imagine, if you will, a world where if enough people believe in Bigfoot, he just starts walking down the street. And people have to stop that because it's not safe to have a Bigfoot walking down the street. Fantastic book, very horror-driven, very intense, very psychological. If you like David Fincher, check out Department of Truth. This video is too long, I'm going to rattle off a bunch at once. Public Domain, written and illustrated by Chip Zdarsky in a very, very modern telling of comic books. This world, a artist is basically in a situation where he has created one of the biggest IPs of all time. They're making tons of movies out of it, but the writer of that book is the only one controlling it. He finds out at the end of the first issue that he has the rights to it. He and his sons try to figure out what to do with basically the equivalent of the rights to Spider-Man, and it's a very oh my god, that's the world we're living in story, but it's a dad and his two kids. So it's very small while being very big. And it's, again, all that Chip Zdarsky heart. It's a really cool commentary on the world of IP, the world of comic books, the world of comic book movies, and fathers and sons. I also recommend Radiant Black. Now, Radiant Black is a few trades in at this point, like maybe 3, 4, maybe 18 or so issues, but I also love that Radiant Black is expanding out into Radiant Pink. It's this team that has the ability when they touch these orbs to have powers. It's not, it sounds like I'm insulting, but this is a compliment. It's like Power Rangers in that each color has a different aspect to it, and they're really building this world out incredibly. What I like most about it is the first volume, so many twists and turns I wouldn't expect. This feels like Silver Age going into Bronze Age Spider-Man in that fun pluckiness, but the twists are something you couldn't do with Spider-Man. The lead changes in a very interesting way, and I hope that didn't give anything away, but it might have. But it's worth it. Investigate. It is very, very interesting take on superhero lore, and I love how expansive it is and how much it's growing. Also recommend Primordial. This is a very attainable 6 issues. It's one trade, one ever, 6 done. And it's a Cold War thriller wherein the Leica dog that went up into space is then years later tried to be rescued by these 2 monkeys, and they gain intelligence, and this is the story of them coming back. It is a very strange psychological experience. The art by Sorrentino is stunning. It's written by Jeff Lemire. It is very cool to see alternate history, and it kind of ties into that Department of Truth kind of flavor. And I love these animals. You're immediately so endeared to these animals. There's no humans that you really care about. It's these animals, these 2 monkeys and Leica the dog, and it's stunning how much you're invested. Also, very recently, Supper Club just came out like last week, 2 weeks ago. This is such a good coming of age book, and it's about culture and gathering and friends and how important it is to know people and how important it is to connect in a myriad of ways. Really love this for a coming age story. Also, a couple weeks ago or last week, if you guys don't know Simon Cross, it's a fun take on Bond that is both parody and sincere. It is a very aware of how ridiculous it is, but also like a good driven story. So comics as a medium can do so much, whether it's coming of age or spy thriller or psychological David Fincher trauma by way of Department of Truth, or a crazy alternate history with monkeys and a dog being friends, but in a very scary world in Primordial. You've got your crazy sexcapades with sex criminals. You've got your very sexually driven space opera with Saga. You've got your very, 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 very intense and so geniusly written Deadly Class. You've got your experiencing the trauma of being alive by way of art and by way of experience in It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth. There are so many genius comics out there, and right now, they're buy one, get one free at Barnes & Noble. Support bookstores, support comic books, support learning and growing and being a better person, and support you feeling better about the world by discovering art and experiencing it. Get after it. If you like this video, let me know, because I'm trying to make more comic book stuff, and I'm trying to get that world out there. Movies are doing just fine. Let's talk comic books. Please like, subscribe. Please let me know which of these books you check out, if any. If you already have, please let me know what you thought of them. Comments, they're there for you. Let's make this a dialogue. Let's talk about comic books, you lovelies. I'll see you soon. Let me know what else you'd want me to talk about in the world of comic books. I'm here for you. All right, much love. Buy some books. Barnes & Noble, buy one, get one free. Crazy.